Hello everybody, how are we all doing today? Hope you can hear me and see me. Everything looks good this end. We're having some pretty heavy rain here today. Apparently some possibility of flooding too, so hoping the Wi-Fi holds, but you never know, right? But I think it's going to be okay. So far, all looking good. But if I do suddenly disappear, could be that some water's got in somewhere it shouldn't have got in or something like that. We shall see how things go. How is everybody doing? I can see there's already a few of you on. Hey, Nosferatu. Hey, SD Sheridan. How you doing? Good to see you all. We're going to sort of carry on from where we left off last week this week. This is going to be a really chilled stream. I mean, last week was as well. And this one's going to be even more so maybe. We're just going to sort of play around with this track a bit more. Maybe do a little bit of sort of arranging and mixing. We're probably going to add some elements to it as well. Try and spruce it up and get a track that's finished there or thereabouts. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, I'm sure, but we can get it to a decent state. Hey, Tom, how you doing? You all right? Tom's with us. Yeah, so it's just going to be a nice chilled one, and we're going to take a little bit more of a look at Glade. So Glade is our new free orchestra It's more than just an orchestra really, but it's this really fantastic product, free to get. If you haven't got it already, go and get it. Now it's brilliant. It's so fun to use, and we were using just Glade last week to kind of come up with this really simple, fun little track that we were kind of ended up being almost in like a bit of a June style or something. We were talking like maybe it's like Children of June or something like that, you know. So it ended up being this kind of nice, you know, atmospheric track using all these incredible sounds from Glade. And Glade has got these two components. It's got this incredible sound designer engine where you can design your own sounds or use some of the presets. Maybe we'll design a sound today. Maybe we'll sort of build one from scratch. So it's got this orchestral library in it as well. It's got the high strings and low strings and woodwind and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So it's a really, really comprehensive tool for making music. And I've said it a million times, but I keep saying it. It's free. So go on the website. There's a link below. Pick it up. Have a play around with it. Comes in sort of, basically it's one thing, but it comes in two sort of library tabs, if you like. We've got Glade and Glade Studio, as we talked about last week. But if you weren't here, exactly the same thing. It's just that Glade is slightly smaller. It doesn't have the mic positions. So if you want a smaller setup, if you don't need the mic positions, or if you just like using a more lightweight library, that's the one for you. If you like all the mic positions and be able to, you know, dig in and do what you want, Glade Studio. But they're both free. They're both essentially the same thing. It's just two sides of one coin, basically. So, and you can get both if you want, and you can use maybe one on one setup, one on another. Adam, when did Glade release? I'm not sure if this is in reference to something that we were doing yesterday, but it released last Tuesday, was it? It must have been last, no, was it? Yeah, it was last Tuesday, because we did our stream on Wednesday last week. So it released on Tuesday. And yeah, it's been great seeing what you guys have done with it. I've already heard some of the demos that you've put in our Discord. If you're not on there, do sign up and put your demos and stuff on there, not just for Glade, for anything that you're working on. But I've heard some stuff that people are doing. It's all been incredible. I've tried to share as much as I can on my Instagram. I'm trying to listen to everything that you guys are sending, whether you're tagging us on YouTube or tagging me or Audio Imperia on Instagram or anywhere else. Yeah, it's been great to hear what you've been doing. Some really incredible sounds that you guys have been creating. Hello, Brandon. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. So yeah, today is going to carry on where we left off, and we're just going to sort of carry on in that same vein. We're just going to have some fun, carry on with this track, see where we get to. You know, we don't have to completely finish it, but we're going to try and get pretty much all the way there. Maybe do a bit of arrangement and mixing and refining this time. Last week, we set ourselves the task of only using what was in the library, right down to the reverbs and the effects and things. And it sounded pretty good, you know, it needs a bit of a mix, but it was sounding pretty good to my ears, just kind of what was coming out of the box. Today, maybe we'll use a few simple plugins to kind of shape things a bit more, but it's all going to be pretty much out of the box stuff, some basic EQs, maybe a little bit of compression or something. Maybe we'll do a tiny bit of mastering as well. We'll also kind of cover, not really template creation, but we're probably going to organize this in a way that might be better for mixing and for sort of doing the final bits as well. So if that's a side of things that you're interested in, that'll hopefully be useful too. And as always, if you have any questions, anything you want to look at in more detail, just let me know, write it in the chat. I'm keeping an eye. Hi, Alex, by the way, thanks for joining us. And yeah, I'll answer them as best I can. So yes, Glade has been out for a week, just under a week. And yeah, the response has been great, and it's been so cool to be able to share it with you. As we've said, we've been working on it for a long time. And yeah, it's been really, really cool to be able to share everything with you. So I'm just kind of setting up the end of my project here. It's just loaded up, and I'm going to make sure that everything is looking good before we dive in. Yeah, and then we will carry on kind of where we left off and just have a chat, hang out. This is going to be very much a hangout day today. I'm all about just leisurely finishing this off. I was really enjoying, you know, the vibe last week of just writing. We didn't have to finish anything. It didn't really matter. We were just exploring some of the sounds. Maybe we'll explore some other sounds today. If you guys have anything about the library that you want to see in more detail, we can look at that too. As I say, it's free to pick up, so go pick it up if you want to. There's sort of, you know, there's going to be no harm in just picking it up for yourself and seeing what happens with it. There's also there's walkthroughs and things that we've done, and I'm sure there'll be more content in the future that sort of explains Glade and the various aspects too. But this is just going to be a having fun writing with Glade today. So thank you all for joining me. I can see there's a few of you on, and we shall get started. Let's move across to the door and have a listen to what we have so far. So there we go. You guys should hopefully be able to hear this. Let me know if you can't, but everything should be working fine. So this is what we did last week in about, I don't know, maybe about an hour and a half, hour and 40. I can't remember. We were just messing around with the patches, seeing what we come up with. You guys helped me write it and helped me sort of figure out some stuff, which is really good fun as well. Here's what we've got. I muted my mic. Sorry. Thank you for telling me, Theodore. God, I'm getting no good at this. The thing is, I've always noticed when I listen back to the streams, like you guys can hear me on my mic, like breathing heavily or, I don't know, sniffing or something when I'm playing the music. So I'm trying to pause my mic or, you know, turn it off so that you don't have to hear all that. And yeah, then I forgot to turn it back on again. I'm going to need like a big button here. You know, I'm going to have to get a big button that turns the mic on and off. As I was saying, going back, we're just going to have fun and finish this off today. But everything you heard was in Glade today, apart from, well, it was all in Glade, but we did a tiny bit of processing here. And yeah, we'll do a bit more processing today, but we're still going to try and keep it mostly Glade, you know, because like I said, I don't want to distract and sort of show you all these plugins to try and, you know, manipulate the sound too much. I think it sounds gorgeous as it is. We just need to do a bit of sort of finessing, I think. Been having so much fun with Glade. It's a little tricky to break out of the desert music with it, but that's okay. It's true. I mean, it definitely leans you in that direction, kind of the earthy stuff or the deserty stuff. But I think it's good idea to maybe listen to some of the demos that were done for Glade. There's a whole bunch of people that did demos, and I think it was a pretty good range of stuff in those demos as well. So check them out on our link on our website. Tom's demo was really awesome. That's the one in the sort of trailer. I thought he did an incredible job of kind of creating something really unique and modern with the sounds. You know, I did something a little bit more traditionally orchestral, but then there were a whole bunch of other great composers that did different things. And it's always great fun when you get the demos for the products, because you see what other composers find in the libraries that maybe you missed or maybe you didn't focus on as much. Again, it all comes back to that idea that we're individuals. We all approach things in different ways. We all have different tastes. You should better give us a chance to write music in major key using Glade. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great library to sort of challenge yourself to do things with, because, you know, it's one of those things where I think there's so much in there, but sometimes you have to get creative about how you use the sounds or something. I think that's a really good way to compose. As I said, I had so much fun doing this last week because, you know, it's this kind of really interesting set of sounds, and we had to find a way to put it all together. Well, I think I had a very kind of you. So many good demos for Glade. Yes, I agree. That's Tom, by the way, Tom, who wrote the demo and works as an Audio Imperia. He's on chat, so if you want to ask him anything about that demo, they might be your chance. It's a great demo, and as I said, it's really cool to hear how everybody interprets the library and what they find in the library. Hello, Cosmodium. Thanks for joining us. So, yeah, we've heard the track, and we're just going to kind of do some sprucing up today, because it's a little bit messy. It's a little bit unmixed and a bit unrefined, but that's cool. I mean, for an hour or so's work, we did a pretty good job, and now we'll just sort of try and get it the next level along, I guess. Okay, so let's take a little look at our close a second. This is our mix, EQ basically. We're going to have a little look and see. I'm going to give you guys an idea of kind of when it comes to an arrangement, you can't mix with your eyes, but you can get some ideas using your eyes about what's, maybe there and not there, what's too much and too little, etc. So if I just show you where we're at in the big section here. Now, generally speaking, there's a kind of curve. If I play this, I'm going to show you what the curve should kind of look like. I mean, there's no such thing as an exact curve or something you have to aim for, but with a nice full arrangement, I'm going to show you what we should be looking for. You'll be able to see my mouse. We're kind of looking for something that peaks in this area and then has a good gentle slope down here. But I think we've got not quite enough going on in the high end here, and maybe a little bit too much mud in this section here, this sort of 250 to 500. It's so important in the music to have everything in there to give it power and to give it sort of depth, but it's also an area that can get muddy and indistinct, and too many different instruments are fighting for space there. So maybe we'll focus on clearing out the arrangement a bit there, maybe adding some high end as well. Now you could just add high end by boosting the EQ, but it's not really the right way to go. If there's an arrangement problem, always good to try and go back to the arrangement and get as much as you can done, because if I just boost the EQ, you'll hear it'll give it a bit of excitement, but it'll also sound fizzy and a bit thin. So sound too bad, but I think that would be maybe not the best way to sort of fix this. You may end up doing a bit of high-end boosting or clearing out some things and boosting some other things, but generally speaking, just trying to boost everything through EQ is not really going to work. We're probably missing some top end there that we can add in, so I've got some ideas on how we could do that. I think there's a couple of presets we could use, and then we've got to really figure out this middle section where we've got a lot of pads and things fighting for space. You bell curve it. I already use Glade for sad music, name choir, make it heartbreaking. Thanks for making it free. Our pleasure, Theodore. Thanks for using it, and I'm glad that you're finding it useful. So we're going to have a look today. We're going to start by maybe fixing up a little bit what we have and just clearing some space, and then we'll maybe add some extra stuff. So let's take a look at this busy section and listen to each thing that we have going on. We have a few pads, and then we have some strings, and we have some choir and everything. So we're really going to work it all out. Tom says, love it. Let's now refer to the mids as mud. It's the... Oh, and Tristan's with us, by the way. Excellent stuff. Well done on this epic launch, guys. Tristan, if you don't know, orchestrator extraordinaire, also a great composer as well. And we've done a course with Tristan recently, which is great. Crafting the Score, had a great time making that with Tristan. And he's a friend of Audio Imperia, friend of mine, friend of everybody's. He's a great guy. So thanks for joining us, Tristan. And thank you for the congratulations. I'm sure Tristan will probably be curling his toes at some of the orchestration here, but it's not really been orchestrated. We just laid all this in, and it's all a bit thick and muddy. Like Tom said, we're going to refer to the mids as mud. Mixing's not my strongest point, but we can definitely improve on what we have, and it's mostly going to be just by figuring out the arrangement as opposed to big, massive cuts and things. I tend to use compressors to make some instruments shine carefully, though. Really good idea. Compressors can sort of bring everything up to level and squash everything a little bit in a way that makes it sound more even. You can do some mastering compression as well, which sometimes glues everything together. But as you say, less is usually more with compression. It's one of those things. It's easy to squash the life out of works. But compression can work incredibly when you're trying to find certain things. Maybe we'll do some on the voices just to sort of get them more balanced. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I always refer to it as the mud pit. Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, because almost everything is in that range, right? Everything in the orchestra kind of fits somewhere in that range, because you get extreme lows and extreme highs, and they have fewer, instruments fighting in those areas. But in the sort of, the low mids and high mids, that area roughly, say 150, 200 to maybe sort of 3, 4K. There's so much going on. And if you're not careful, you can just get a big mushy, pie, which is, I've been guilty of that many, many times. Mixing can certainly help, but usually it's good to try and get as much as you can done with the arrangement. So, okay, let's have a look at what we got going on. We'll sort of go through each patch and see what it's doing, and we'll start thinking about, do we need it? We'll go to the busier section first, because the intro, it's not too bad and it's more sparse. So this is a beautiful pad, but there's a lot going on here. So that's probably taking up a lot of energy. Then we have these village bells. So not too bad. There's a little bit less, muddy, but there's still some stuff in there that we might be able to manipulate a little bit. Beautiful sort of choir-like textures here. And we have that panned a little bit. Maybe we'll bring it back. We'll see when we do the full thing. And yeah, again, some stuff here going on as well. Challenge, write a piece with no mids. Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting. Yeah, you could only use, let's say, 25 hertz to 150 hertz, and then you could only use 3.5K to 20K. Nothing in the middle. That would be one heck of a challenge. Any tips on how to learn mixing sound design? Just generally work with the arrangement sound. I compose music, but the quality of the sound is horrible. I feel you. Mixing has always been the part that I've struggled with, partly because of this room as well at the moment. But yeah, I would say there's a couple of things that I would say. First off, nearly always, if something doesn't sound decent, because here's the thing, right? Something like Glade, it's been recorded with great musicians in a great space. It's got a beautiful sound, and it's all been treated with a lot of love, and it's all, being captured really, really well. So the general idea would be is that you should be able to get something out of the box that sounds good, maybe with a bit of volume manipulation, but it's like if it sounds just all over the place out of the box, with sample libraries these days, because they're so well recorded and put together, there's usually an orchestration or arrangement issue where maybe you have too much going on or too much fighting for the same space. Mixing, I always think of like the last 10 or 15%. It's like it should already sound pretty good, and then the mixing just helps everything to shine and everything to fit together. But if everything sounds soupy and muddy and weird, and you can't hear any of the things you want to hear, and there's all kinds of stuff missing, there's probably an arrangement issue. I would say you should be able to play something inside your door when it's finished without any mixing that people go, oh, that's really good, it sounds nice, it sounds good, and then that the extra 10 or 15% is going to take it to that next level. So yeah, I would definitely practice trying to make things sound as good as possible with a little no mixing, because I've made this mistake over and over again where I start mixing as I go, and then before I know it, I've cut all kinds of weird things out, and I've done these big bell curves and used volume automation, and then as I'm adding more stuff, none of it makes sense because I haven't had the overview in my head of what I'm trying to do. Nosferatu says, I used Glade last week in a trailer audio for a big event. Love working with it. Such great creative sounds. Thank you very much. That's great. I mean, that sounds really exciting. If you can share that with us, that would be great, but no worries if not. What's Ozone? Ozone is a plugin that's a kind of mastering software. We might look a little bit today at it. Totally agree. Get it right from the source. Yeah, Brandon, 100%. I think, you should be able to get something that sounds really good using little to no plugins these days. And it's a good practice because ultimately I think mixing can sometimes give you the impression that it's all going to be about the mix and it's all going to be about the plugins. Honestly, it isn't. I've seen some people create incredible stuff and they've done hardly any mixing, a tiny bit of EQ, maybe a tiny bit of compression, but it's like 3 or 4 plugins and it sounds incredible. And then I've made that mistake of having like 45 plugins on there. It all sounds terrible. I've forgotten what I'm trying to do anymore, and I don't even remember what's the bass and what's the mids, and it's just a nightmare. OTT is all you need. OTT Master Bus cranked up. True. OTT, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I still use OTT. Maybe we'll look at that today. Maybe we'll use that on something. Crank it up, full depth, perfect. Job done. Theodore, listen to your mixes on as many sets of speakers as you can. This is a yep, so take a break from mixing and come back for a few days later with fresh ears. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's a really good piece of advice, is trying to listen on different speakers, because I'm sure you guys have done this before where you get something, it sounds pretty good, and it's the old-fashioned cliche, you get it in the car or whatever, and you go for a drive and you listen to it, and you're like, oh, it sounds so terrible, why doesn't it sound have life in it and energy, and why does it sound so muddy and indistinct? A lot of the time, it's good to try and listen to headphones, maybe have a really good set of studio monitors, but then also have maybe some computer speakers, maybe listen in the car, get a few different setups that you can use and you can sort of hear where everything is functioning then. Jonathan, OTT, yeah. So maybe we'll just use a bit of OTT today. That's all we'll use, one plugin, OTT. Okay, so let's do this. Why is it all bass? Yeah, I've done that too. Why is it all bass? And then I change one tiny thing, and then I'm like, where's my bass? I can't hear any bass. And tweak it back, and then suddenly all the bass. It's hard. Mixing is an art form. Some people are really good at it naturally. I'm definitely not. I'm very lucky that anything I've done professionally nearly always gets mixed by somebody else. I can get my mixes to a level usually where it's like you can hear what's supposed to be happening, but then when the really talented person takes it and brings it back, and I'm like, oh, that's what it's supposed to sound like. Haven't used OTT in years. Yeah, I mean, OTT is one of those like classic, almost cliche plugins, especially if you work in the trailer music world. I still use it now and then, but I do try not to, because it's one of those, like, as soon as you put it on something, you instantly think, oh, this sounds amazing, but it doesn't really sound amazing. It just sounds very hyped. And then as you do the rest of your mix, you realize, maybe I wasn't quite right about that. Okay, so you can hear the seasons change. When I take it out, the mix clears out. I'm not saying we need to get rid of it completely, but it does almost improve because there's not so much fighting. So let's go through and do a quick volume balance. I'm going to be lazy here and do my volume automation sort of in my channels here. Technically speaking, I should probably go and use expression and you know, manipulate the volumes. There's a reason for that. We won't get into it too much today, but it's to do with whether you're manipulating the volume after the plugins or before the plugins, and that can make a difference. I'm not going to worry too much because I'm definitely not anybody to give super advanced mixing advice. So I'm just going to sort of volume ride some of this stuff and try and get it all working. So let's go back and have a listen. A little OTT definitely goes a long way, it's true. So I think all of this is sounding pretty good. Probably do a little bit of work, but the balance here is not too bad. Okay, I'm just going to carry on sort of putting this together bit by bit and trying to explain what I'm doing. I'm also going to be writing today. I don't just want to make this, is not a mixing class at all. It's just about finishing this piece off. But I'm just going to try and get the balance right first. So. Okay, this one we can just do a tiny bit of work on here. I'm just going to use a bit of neutron. I think I'm just going to clean some of this up a little bit. Just a bit here. It's kind of not sounding great. Okay, let's have a listen to this. What I think we need to do here is just lose some of this stuff here. We don't really need any of this. Maybe bring this down a bit here. Just boost a tiny bit the highs. Don't, again, nothing crazy. If you're sort of doing 10, 20 dBs, it's usually probably not the way. Just gentle. So, before, after. Really simple, but just cleared out space for other things there. I'm going to swap out the reverb. It's great in here, but I'm just going to use something a bit more, maybe black hole or shimmer or something here, just to give this a little bit of extra level. I'm just going to do this as an insert, so we can sort of, let's try black hole. Same thing here, give it a bit more space here. But we could do all this inside of Glade as well. We already are using some reverb inside of Glade. Sounds great. Okay, we got a little bit too much bass going out at the end there. We can just bring that out a bit more there as this ramps up. So is the EQ thing where you can change the frequency balance. That's exactly what it is. I'll give you a really, really brief overview. Yeah, basically, all these sounds are incredible, right? And EQ is very much dependent on a track that you're writing. Sometimes if you have very minimal amounts of tracks, you may not need to do much EQ at all. If you're only using 3 or 4 tracks, everything may fit together nicely. Generally speaking, the more tracks you're using, the more things are going to build up. And then the more you have to start thinking, what's really happening with each piece, you know? So you usually have maybe a track that's predominantly your bass. You maybe have a track that's providing more of the pads or things, or maybe have 2 or 3 like we do here. And then you'll just start carving things out. The general rule of thumb is less is more. You don't want to do too much aggressive EQ, because I mean, let's show you like a really extreme example here. So I could just take this, and if I really wanted to carve everything out, apart from say the middle, I could do this. See how we're just getting that little bit. And in some extreme cases, something like this may be the right thing to do. But generally speaking, unless you really know what you're doing, you're going to carve so much out that everything's going to sound weird. My general rule of thumb is to try and keep things sounding kind of the way they do, but just clear out anything that isn't working within the context of the track. So you can see maybe here a bit too much. Really subtle stuff. Okay, let's go back here. I think same thing here. Probably don't need so much of this. Probably quite a lot of sort of mid-range stuff going on here. I don't need anything here because there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, that's kind of sounding okay. Maybe use a tiny bit of reverb on that as well. Let's try a whole reverb, but not a crazy amount. And then we're going to add some extra stuff. Hi there, Ingo. Thank you very much. I had made something eerily similar a year ago, Convergent Creativity. Maybe send it over to us. Go on our Discord and send it. I would love to hear it. Yeah, I mean, we were just riffing on this last week. I mean, we just took this patch. We chose the patches at random, and then we just started playing. This is all just from Glade. This is just me playing random chords. And yeah, Glade is so good. This is literally a preset that we had on Glade. So just going to move that back. Mine is not working that way. Okay. Don't think we need it panned off too much. I think that's a bit strange. Oh, but we do have it. Oh, why have we got automation on the panning? That definitely shouldn't be happening. Ignore all of that. This should all be centered. Don't know why there's automation there. Thank you very much, Jen Andrea. And I heard your demo as well. I saw that you mentioned us and you also put it on Instagram, sounding incredible. So thank you so much for using Glade and for sharing what you did with it. Did you already use Glade together with other libraries of AI? All of this is just Glade today, and I think we're going to keep it that way. We haven't done a challenge yet, or we haven't done a video where we've used it with the other instruments. I can't wait to do that because I think there's stuff in here that's going to work really well with some of the other instruments. But we wanted to just use Glade and show what you could do with just Glade today and last week as well. So all of this is Glade, and as we say, it's free, so go pick it up and write something with it and show us what you do. So we probably need to turn this down a little bit. I don't think we need to do any mixing necessarily. There may be a tiny bit high end here we can miss out. I just made a drum heavy track. It turned out great. That's cool. It's very cool because yeah, there's some cool percussion in here. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see how people use this in like other genres too. If you do like rock or pop or something, it's kind of a bit like what Tom did. I mean, he didn't do a rock or pop track, but he sort of used it to make a very modern sounding track. And it was a really, really cool way to see it being used. Not a composer, just a humble voice actor. But I adore watching you guys work. Thank you so much, Jared. And yeah, that's incredible. If you're a voice actor, if you worked on anything that we might know, that's a very cool job. And yeah, that's really cool. So cool. I think that's going to work. Let's just have a listen to these soloists together. This is sort of about balancing everything together now. So here, I think we have too much going on here. Hear it? Bring this down just a tiny bit. Make sure it all fits together. I just wondered how it combined. I think we should definitely do it. I mean, maybe in the next stream or in a video at some point, we're going to use Glade with the other libraries because I think it'd be really cool to see how it all blends together. I know it's going to work really well. And I think there's some great stuff here that will work with everything. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab everything here and I'm going to group it all together. Let's call this, I don't know, let's call them solo winds because that's technically what they all are. And then I'm going to go to my mixer here. You're going to see everything is now in the stem here. So we can hear everything as one. Maybe we're going to do a little bit of compression here. I'm going to use this compressor. It's a mastering compressor. And this is technically not mastering, but what a mastering compressor essentially does is glues everything together in a really, really kind of transparent way. So it's not a big attack. The compressors work by squashing everything together so they're more even. And some compressors can work very, very hard and fast, you know, so they really slam down on everything, make everything sound very even. Others work in a slightly more musical way where they're just sort of very slightly elevating the troughs and very slightly dipping the peaks, but in a very transparent way that just brings everything together. So maybe we'll use a bit of this, see if this works. See how we're just getting 1 or 2 dBs of gain reduction here, but what that's doing is it's just squashing everything together in a way that's going to make it sound more kind of cohesive and more like one thing, which I think is what we need for these solo winds, because we kind of want these to drive the track forward at this point. Under a pseudonym, a number of cartoons here on YouTube. Wow, that's cool, and some commercials. But officially, my biggest claim to fame is the voice of some of the audio tours for the Eagle Scouts. Wow, that's really cool. It's also always sort of surprises me and interests me who we have with us and what they do. I know a lot of you guys are composers, a lot of you work in very different fields as well and do music as a kind of hobby. It's just great to see what everyone does. So Kind of don't want to go past this 2 dB point. Okay, I think that'll do. And yeah, just bring the level of this down generally a tiny bit. We don't want it sort of poking out too much and being too bright. And this one too. I think that will work. I do love the settings compressor. Have you tried a Magic Death Eye? No, I haven't. There's a lot that I haven't tried. I'm going to have to check that one out. Nosferatu says, while mixing orchestral recorders, I've noticed that most sections tend to need EQ cut around 300. It's interesting how consistently that frequency range builds up. That's very true. And again, it's because it's such a ubiquitous frequency range, or almost all instruments have something in that range. You know, French horns, low strings, high strings, all the woodwinds, a lot of drums, nearly everything will be in that range to some degree. And also as well, you know, when you're recording in rooms, beautiful scoring stages and things like that, often there's a lot of build up in those kinds of ranges to the basses and the low mids, so you're getting reflections of low mids and they're coming back as low mids, and you know, it gets very complicated. That's usually where you get the mud, but it's so difficult because it's like cut too much out and a track sounds very thin and sort of lifeless. Keep too much in and the track sounds sort of muddy. It can be a bit of a difficult one. Let's have a little listen to these harps. Don't think we're going to want quite as much in this range here. You can almost see it poking up slightly. And again, if this harp was on its own, sounds absolutely beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the recording. It's a beautiful recording. We've got some weird delay on there, but sounds great. But in a busier mix, there may be a little bit too much going on. So let's have a little listen. Some of this, but again, not too much. That sounds a bit weird. That's too much. That's slightly too much. Maybe just there. Yeah, I think that'll work. We can actually bring this up a little bit, I think. Should we use a little bit of OTT on this? Let's do it. Even though it's, I'm just doing it more for fun than anything. But OTT is a kind of multi-band compressor, or multi-band upwards and downwards compressor. We're not going to do mixing today. It's a complicated way of bringing things up, taking things down, squashing everything. The net result is everything sounds a lot more alive and crazy. Here's the big thing with OTT, the depth. If you put the depth on full, I'm going to turn this down, you're going to hear it just sounds mad. It's so bright and wide. You kind of want it more like this, and then we bring this back to where it should be. See how it just brings stuff out? And we can then manipulate some of these highs and lows, but we don't do too much. I think that's good. And then just use the gain trim just to sort of make sure it doesn't become too loud. But that's good because we got some high energy in there that I think is going to poke out over the top. Nice. See how we get more texture now? Cool. I wonder if they would be interested in making a Nordic vibes patch in the future. Hey, you never know. Definitely let us know what you like to see. Let me just have a little listen to these. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. I kind of want, so this is where often drums get very muddy. If you're ever using drums, again, they can sometimes sound great in a minimal mix, but if you've got a lot going on, exactly like we were saying earlier on, around that 300, 250 range is usually where it's around here. So it's very tonal usually in that area. So you really get this like wobbly, flubbly, I don't even know what words I'm using here, but get a lot of this. Will you hear it? It's important to have it, but we may have got a bit too much going on for a busy mix like this. Do you see how that sounds a little bit more neutral now in a way? You're not getting some of that flubby wubby stuff. Technical term, flubby wubby. So there we go. Cool. I'm just going to see if we can use another patch here, because we were supposed to use 3 patches, but we had so much fun, we ended up adding loads. I'm just going to take this, I'm going to copy this down here, and then I'm going to see. I'm thinking we could maybe find an area pad or texture, just to go at the end here along with these crotales and everything. We'll see. So let's just take a little look. So we've got Glade here. We've got all these incredible sounds. Let's just have a listen to a few and see if we can find something. Let's see if we get anything going on. Is any names poking out to anybody here? Anything look good? Maybe textures. A funeral for a forest. Sounds cool. Percussion depths. Shimmering luminance. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm imagining in my head. Oh yeah, nice. Beautiful. And again, Glade has these macro controls. This is an incredible feature of something like Glade. So everything can be assigned to one of the 2 macros. So you can have these really intricate kind of evolving sounds. I have a lot going on in all of these pretty much. Some of them have more than others. But yeah, they're being used in a way to manipulate certain sounds. So I can solo different things. A bit less of that because that's a bit more upper mids. A little bit less of that too, I think. Then we listen to this one. Same thing there. I think so. It's this one I think that we're really looking to get. Yeah, nice. And I'm just going to manipulate this a little bit. I'm going to add a bit more frequency here. In fact, there we go. That's what I want. It's that upper element there. And then I'm going to see if we've got, yeah. Nice. So all these presets come wonderfully created, you know, so they work out of the box, but you can also change them and you can make your own as well. Brandon says, I'm playing with the low strings and Glade, really stable sound, which is not necessarily super common. Well done. They're not super wobbly. I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, modern production needs a lot of stability in that low end, and strings can tend to sort of wobble and go up and down in volume. To show you these Glade low strings, they sound really beautiful. I think we actually have tremolo there. Let's just go back. Nice even sound. Cool. So let's just maybe add something here that I think is going to work. What are our chords again? I've forgotten. We're in D. And we've got G minor. Okay, so. Nice. Okay. Let's just play something in, see what we come up with. I'm just going to go back a little bit. Yeah, I think I just actually like that last little flourish there, take away the rest. I think that just helps just make everything stick out a bit more. Hear it? Without. We just have a little end there. With, it really sticks it over the top. Sounds really nice. Let's just take some of that away. I'm just going to add a bit more reverb to that. In fact, I'll do it with the outboards here. So let's just do that last chord, tasty. Yeah, nice big major chord at the end. Nice. We don't want it to poke out too much, but it really adds a bit of transient texture that we're maybe missing at the end there. See, it makes the other chords sound more powerful, or the other pads make it sound more powerful without a bit indistinct at the end. With, it's almost like it lifts the low mids and things. Okay. Nice. And just to make this a bit more airy here, and again, I could do, in fact, no, let's do it. Yeah, let's just do it with the outboard stuff here because it'll be quicker to show you guys. I'm just going to do a bit of panning on these. It's a little bit unorthodox because technically speaking in the orchestra, you wouldn't have people running from one end to the other or anything like that. But this is more of a textural piece, so we're going to be fine if we end up doing something. Let's do some smoothing and slow that down a bit. There we go. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, cool. And for some reason that's not working. Don't know why that is. Hold on, let me just see, reload it and see if we can get it to work again. It was not panning. It was no. Okay, we're not gonna do that. That sounds better. Oh. Are you guys hearing me okay? Everything looks okay here. Oh, sorry guys. Are we having a weird cop-out with my mic? Yeah, that effect's gone. Something happened there. I apologize. I don't know what's going on there. Let me just check. I've got our, we should have our, yeah, we got our limiter on here. So we shouldn't have any crazy peaks. OBS must be flubbing out. I got to mute till fixed. Let me know. Yeah, it's, I think it's fixed. Cool. Okay, let's take that effect away. I got no idea what's going on there. Apologies, guys. Save your ears. Keep it down. Okay, we're back. I'll have to look into that. I'm just going to boost the high end of this a little bit. Kind of only really want that top end here. Do you know, I've been having some weird issues with this computer recently where I don't know why, but certain things are not working. Yeah, who knows what's going on. Maybe needs to do a reinstall or a new computer, not a Mac, if Ollie's on, because he'll try and make me get a Mac. But maybe I need a new PC. I think that's sounding pretty good now. Let's just have a look and see. We've got this. Let's bring that up a little bit at the end, maybe. And I'm just going to play this over and over a couple of times. Yeah, we're just going to use... We don't really want any of the low end stuff here. There's no need because there's so much going on the low end. Get rid of all that. See, very often EQ will just be a case of getting rid of things that are not necessary. So we don't really need any of that stuff. Maybe a little bit more to the top. Cool. I think that'll work, and then we'll just mix it in to taste. Which gives us a nice little bit of ambience at the end there. With A to just kind of disappears, and with... Yeah, nice and simple. Cool. And then we have a bit of a fade out, which we will... let's get rid of this. I don't know why we're panning. Strange things going on. There we go. We want volume here. So... Yeah, so somebody's mentioned about the arpeggiator. Yes, we do have an arpeggiator. Let me just create a new track here. I can show you guys how it works. So the arpeggiator will play. Let me just get a single layer here. It would be easiest to sort of show you guys. Maybe this one. Yeah, there we go. So if I put the arpeggiator on, you can set a rate. In other words, how fast it plays in comparison to your BPM. And then whatever you play automatically arpeggiates. And you can do it depending on a few different things. You can just go up, so it just goes up and then repeats. You can go down, which is from the highest note down to the lowest note that you play. So basically the opposite. You can go up and down, which is great if you want more of a kind of different pattern. See? And then you can do it as played. So whichever order you play, that's how it's going to show up. So I could do something like... Or I could do, you know, I don't know. All kinds of weird stuff like that. Yeah, arpeggiator is great if you just want some easy sort of rhythms and textures in your stuff. You could also do sequences if you want to get more into the weeds and program your own kind of rhythms and things. It's a very powerful sequencer. But the arpeggiator is great, especially for textures like this, right? It's like I could just play a chord. Sounds great. Or if I just want to go up like this. Really, really cool. And then down as well. And I can change the rate of these things too. So if I want it to go faster, or I could go much slower like this, bring this down and do maybe. So it's basically breaking the chords up or breaking the notes that you play up. And then it's a, you know, according to the rules that you set. As I say, it's kind of like the sequencer, but it's a more kind of automated one. What interface are you doing all this in? Also, what MIDI are you using? Blessings. No problem, Xavier. Yeah, so I'm doing this all inside of Cubase, and I'm using Contact, which is what Glade's in. You can get Contact for free, Contact Player, if you don't have Contact, and that will play Glade, so you don't need to buy the full version of Contact if you don't have it, although it will work in that. And then I'm using Cubase. This will work in pretty much any DAW, though. If you have Logic, if you use FL Studio, whatever you're using, this will work inside of that. Anything that hosts, you know, sort of VST-style plugins and things like that. Yeah, so I'm using Cubase, but that's just because that's always the one I've used. It doesn't have to be Cubase. In terms of what MIDI I'm using, well, if you mean where's the music coming from, the MIDI, we programmed the MIDI in last week. So if you want to check that stream out, you can see us put the MIDI in bit by bit. And the library itself is all Glade. So it's all the free library that we released last week. So all of this is available to you guys. You just need pretty much any DAW that will take sort of standard plugins. And then, yeah, download Glade, get it from the website. Play around with it, check it out. We've got a walkthrough, and there's going to be other videos as well. And of course, this last week's stream, if you want a bit of a guide on how to do this stuff. Also, I'm going to make this MIDI file available in our Discord. So if you're not in our Discord, go in there. And yeah, within the next day or two, we've already got some MIDI files from previous streams available, but I'll make this one available as well. And you guys are free to dig in. So if you're new to this and you just want to see a project put together, download this one, link it up to your Glade, and then play around to your heart's content. Obviously, do whatever you want with these projects. Yeah, so this is Cubase, but it works in all DAWs, and yeah, you can get yourself pretty much any DAW, and it will work in that one. We've, you know, you can get Logic, you can get FL Studio, lots of different DAWs. A little bit more top end in these vocals, just a bit more. We ended up creating an interesting sound effect out of the voice here by the looks of it, which is very cool, but probably a bit loud. And also, don't think we need this element here. It's a bit too bassy because we got so much bass going on. The rest of it looks pretty good though, so. No no, Discord's not hard to use. It's free software. You can download it, and yeah, you can join our Discord. That's free. We got the link in the description below, and yeah, join up, and we've got a nice sort of team of composers there. When I say team, I mean all of us here and everyone else that's joined the Discord. We share, we hang out. You know, we can put our own work on there and get some feedback and things. And you can ask questions about music and about how to use the libraries and things. I try and be on there as much as possible, although I haven't gone there that much this week, unfortunately. But I do get on there as often as possible, and I'm listening to all the Glade stuff, and I am planning on trying to, I see a lot of people have posted stuff on the Star Promo and music feedback channels. I'm going to try and get on there and speak to some of you guys, but everything I've heard so far has been incredible, so thank you for sharing all your stuff. And yeah, definitely get on the Discord if you're not, because it's really useful. You're in a team. We're Team Audio Imperia. Yeah, this is it. We hang out. We wrote this track together pretty much last week, because you guys give me lots of great advice on how to use stuff. And what we should do. You guys chose the presets as well, although we did end up adding about 3 or 4 more because we were having so much fun. Okay, let's go from beginning and see where we're at with this track. And again, if you guys have any questions about Glade, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. And this is all done in the normal Glade. We've got Glade and Glade Studio. This is all done in Glade. The only difference with Glade Studio is the mic positions, and that gives you a little extra flexibility if you need it. But for writing a track like this, we really didn't need it. So just going to fade those vocals in a bit. They're a little bit sticking out over the top, and yeah, I think that we can just sort of massage them in a bit better so they don't just sort of ride out over the top. Yeah, I think that works. It's a really nice sound at that point that I'm gonna maybe push. Where are we finding that? We need to find Hunt where it is. So it's the other voice. It's this Benedict voice here. I'm gonna push that a little bit there, I think. I like the way it really complements what's going on. So just push it gently, not too much, but just sort of bring it out a bit more. I'm going to change this here. I'm hearing up. Here. That was my attempt at singing there. Hearing that go up there. I think it's going to add a bit more drama at that point. Just going to push that there. Yeah, that's better. Now, I think that should go down there. I don't know where we got that one from, but I think this will sound better. Okay, we can bring that out at that point, I think, and let's figure out the timing. So I think it's a little bit out of time. Yeah, let's push that a little bit there. Again, I'm just going to do this with volume. Right, because it's a big moment, but we don't just want that to be buried in the background. It's kind of changing the piece at that point. Yeah, nice. And I think it just needs to come in slightly earlier. Yeah, cool. And you know what? We might be able to bring in some percussion at that point as well. Let's just see if something like this works. So it's going to be... Yeah, that sounds quite good, I think. It's going to just help. This is like a transition moment. We go from one energy state to another. We start getting more instruments introduced. So usually when you transition from sort of one section to the next, you kind of don't just want to have a piece and then suddenly introduce a bunch of instruments and new stuff. You kind of want to move into that. Transitional elements are very important. You can sometimes use cymbals. You can sometimes use like synths or signature sounds or interesting whooshes or swells. Because we're using Glade, there's a few things that we could use. But you know what? I might do this as well. Let's see if we can do this. Grab this. Audio. Let's just reverse this again. I probably reversed this about 8 times now, but that's fine. Maybe this will work as well. So we're going to get a swoosh in. But we're obviously going to want that. Yeah, that could work nicely. We're going to want it quiet. You know, we're not going to want too much going on here at this point. Let's just make sure that's sort of lined up there. Bring that down a little bit. I'm just going to be lazy and use that. Let's see if that just helps us move into that new section. Yeah, nice. Although we don't want that big boom there. That's a bit too much for this section here. You know, transitions are sort of also dependent on the energy, so that's way too much there. We're just going to want to bring that down. Yeah, and then we got a little click there. That's easy fix. That's just the crossfading here. So something like that, I think. Really bring that down. Cool. And I think we can actually... Let's just pop this on its own track. And I think we can bring a filter in here just to sort of make this more... a little bit more mysterious and distant at this point. It's a bit present in the mix here. I can use a really simple filter. I'm very worried about using plugins at the moment in case we have crazy noises again. I'm going to put this on. Hopefully it'll work. Tell me if my voice goes crazy. Something like that I think works a bit better. Cool. You know what? We could almost ride the automation on this. Yeah, something like that I think will work. Okay, let's just listen to that. Nice. Yeah, I think that works. I think here I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this on its own channel as well. Duplicate the channel, move it down. I think we can have a really nice... Let's try maybe something like a shimmer. Again, apologies if this makes my sound go weird. Shouldn't do though. Actually, no, let's use the Valhalla shimmer. This just adds a kind of really nice reverb swell. We're going to make this quite big because, again, it's sort of like this floating element. So let's see. Kaya says, "Bet tell you that the vocals are one of my favorite sounds from Glade, in my opinion. Stumbled on you playing most beautiful chord." Well, thank you. And yeah, the vocals are incredible. They're very, very beautiful vocals and a definite, must add to collections. Legato as well, so you can do these beautiful lines with them. I mean, just show you very quickly. You can see they all link up, sound really beautiful. Incredible. You can play really beautiful lead lines with these. Even if I take the so actually this is all the reverb from inside Glade, so all this beautiful reverb is just here. Take it off, a little bit more intimate with the reverb. For this track, that big beautiful lush reverb really works, I think. Okay, so we have listened to this. Nice, yeah. It just it's almost like a cymbal. It's like when you roll the cymbal and then let it sort of crash off. Nice. And this has just come from the Forest percussion. A little bit of manipulation. Most of it was inside Glade. We've had a reverb and yeah, we could definitely. No more, otherwise we'll get some kind of copyright thing or something probably. But yeah, you could definitely do the Ben Del Maestro, who's the singer of the In Dreams, had a beautiful voice. This Peter voice that we've captured, very similar, definitely that same kind of beautiful sort of Benedictine vocal sound. Just incredible. And then we have Benedict. Speaking of Benedict, we have Benedict. Beautiful voice as well, but slightly different. And then you can put them together if you want to. Sounds like... just, it's like a cue already, right? Beautiful. Storm's asking, is this Cubase 15? No, this is Cubase 14 Pro. I haven't got 15 yet. I might get it soon. I almost certainly will get it because there's some cool features in Cubase 15. My Cubase 14's been a little bit erratic, as be seen by my plugin, which is going weird. It occasionally doesn't play ball and goes a bit crazy. Don't know why. I'm hoping if I get to Cubase 15, that will be great because all the others have been fine. And Gandalf's banging on my door. Yeah, I mean, Glade, we were saying, yeah, you can do like the deserty stuff, but actually these vocals, you can definitely do, and with the strings as well. I mean, I love doing this sometimes, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to play a low string and use my sustain pedal. Where we go. So yeah, if we go here, and I come off the sustain pedal, I keep playing. Sometimes you can just riff like that, you know. So these strings could also be used for Lord of the Rings style stuff as well. They've got that beautiful sound to them. Great stuff. So yeah, you can definitely do some Lord of the Rings style stuff with this if you want to. I think that's added a lot. If we take them away again, show you what we had. We really had no transition into that extra, that new section. Just sort of came out of nowhere, right? Now we've moved these swells back a bit. Yeah, works quite nicely. Didn't love 14. Yeah, I've had a pretty good relationship with it. There's been some really, really cool stuff in here, but I've had a few weird technical issues as well. Not really sure why, because all my other Cubases have worked really, really well. I occasionally get like a weird, you know, I very rarely get crashes, occasionally get weird things like try and close a project down, it doesn't close down, but it's all been stuff I've been able to handle. But for some reason, occasionally inside of this Cubase, random things happen. I need to get better at adding ear candy. Yeah, ear candy is really important for modern production. In particular, if you're doing trailers and things like that, there's so much just small sounds and little things that add so much. And then things like reverbs and stuff that just help to sort of bring things out, put them in interesting spaces. It's a bit of a dark art. It's something I'm still learning a lot as well. But things like these kinds of transitions and swells and things, that's stuff that you use a lot in trailer music, where everything is very transition and edit based. So this is just kind of like a trailer music or almost like EDM or something, where you get a lot of those kinds of things as well, transitions and ear candy to make everything sound interesting. It helps make the track sound less generic. Yeah, that's it. It just, and it, you know, with the ear candy, you can always make it your own as well. I have a quick question because I've seen other companies do it. Is Glade like a complete collection of VSTs or is it like a preview? No, it's definitely not. I think Jan's answered this in VI Control, but just to give everybody full sort of transparency now, this is not a taster of a big full library or anything. Glade is its own thing. We really, really, really wanted to just make a free product for people that wasn't going to be, you know, now here's a bigger version or an extra thing. It's just its own thing. It was conceived, created, developed, produced as its own standalone thing. So the short answer is no, this isn't the prelude to something else that's going to come out next week or next month or next year. It's nothing like that. It's its standalone thing. And that was a big part of what we wanted to do, was make something that really just felt complete. It wasn't going to be a teaser or a taster or some kind of prelude to something else. So yeah, just to, if anybody is, you know, worried or thinking, oh, this is going to be a taster for some big, huge new library, it isn't. This is its own thing. Just want you guys to sort of know that. Highly recommend doing what Adam is doing here. Render as audio, tweak, customize. Yeah, rendering to audio is really, really good technique, and it's a great way to get more out of sounds as well, because this is the thing, right? It's like a library is one thing, and there's incredible sounds in Glade, and we have a really, really, really incredible engine that you can use to manipulate sounds, which is where all these great presets come from, and how we get all these things kind of coming out of the box sounding so rich and lush. But then you get like a whole other library when you export things and mangle them, pitch them, change them, add reverbs, bolt them together and stuff, you know. So, I mean, doing sound design with libraries is almost like getting two libraries for one. And as I said, you can do a lot of sound design inside of Glade because we have this incredible sort of new engine that we put together with these multiple layers and all these different sort of effects and things that you can do. But if you want even more control, or you want to do something that can't be done inside of these engines, this is a very common technique. Export something to audio inside your DAW. Most DAWs will do that really easily, and then play around with it. Use plugins or stretch things out, or, you know, whatever you need to do. We do, yeah, the same for trailers, especially if you do a lot of custom, so signature sounds is so important. It's totally true. It's the one way to stand out, isn't it? You know, in sort of DAW-based composing is, we all have the same sample libraries and they sound incredible, but you can find ways to make those sample libraries sound more your own as well. And that's particularly important in customs and things because, you know, trailer editors are always looking for that sound they haven't heard or an interesting way of sound being used. And this is a great way of doing it, export stuff out. But yeah, I love doing this. It's like a whole new library when you do this kind of stuff. Whack it through Guitar Rig. Yeah, you could definitely whack it through some amps and stuff. I do that quite a lot as well. It's a really, really cool way of doing things. Whacking strings through guitar amps is really interesting because it just sounds crazy. Yeah, go to town. I mean, and this is the great thing about making music, right? Do the weirdest, most unorthodox, unconventional thing that you can think of. Sometimes it'll sound great, and that'll be your sound then. Go to town on it. You know, all of these DAWs contain plugins for free. There are loads of free plugins or inexpensive plugins out there that can change stuff around. And as I say, you get twice as much mileage out of your libraries. And sometimes you want really beautiful traditional sounds like these strings, you know. Sometimes you want to run that through some grungifier guitar amp or something and create the most crazy sounding thing. Yeah, so there we go. Hey there, how are you? I'm good. I hope you are as well. I really want to whack the reverb button and stuff. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use something called a transient shaper here. Should I put it? Let's put it after or before the reverb, sorry. Transient shapers are ways of shaping the transients, as you might imagine, of something. Transients are the initial hits on something. So if you get a drum and you hit it, you get a very strong transient because it's a massive thwack, and then the sound tails off quickly. If you get something like a flute, it tends to be a very, very slow transient if you're playing it in that way. And there's no real hard attack on something like a flute, and everything else is somewhere in between. But this is coming in, for me, just maybe a little bit too much and poking through just for this piece. Again, it sounds beautiful, and in the right context, that attack would be perfect, but maybe we can just bring that attack. It's just helping to soften the attack a tiny bit. Don't want to go too much with it, but yeah, so I think maybe just going to help put it in the mix a bit more, I think. Push the vocal at the end there again, just using volume control, because you would do that, right? It's like at the climax of a piece, everyone's going to push a little bit forward and really bring everything to a big thundering close. So I'm just using volume here to really just, and I'm going to make sure that I'm also using my dynamics. Yeah, I'm already doing that to swell this up because this has dynamic layers. So yeah, it's one of those things where we're pushing everything forward. Strings through guitar amp sounds like a Hans Zimmer thing. Yeah, I mean, Hans Zimmer is, you know, the sort of modern example of someone that takes traditional sounds and mangles them, changes them to create all these interesting soundscapes. might just try and push these gestures. What I like about these gestures is that it's a moving element. Get this. And you know what? Maybe we're going to use a little bit of distortion. This again, I'm going to hope this doesn't make my sound go. In fact, maybe we won't use distortion because I don't want you guys having a sudden flunk out with the sound. We can add some inside of the engine. I've already got some. Push it a little bit more. I'm still in my Bear McCreary phase. Sorry, not phrase. Not a bad phase to be in. We did God of War on a stream maybe 4 weeks ago. Very good fun. Beautiful theme. Nice. Let me just... Getting something here that I don't like. There, I think. For this piece, it's just sticking out a bit too much. See, again, it sort of almost has this effect of like smoothing the sound out because we've got rid of that thing that's a bit harsh. Again, harsh is a relative term. In the right track, all of that good stuff would really give it character, but in a track that's busy like this, there's too much going on, and we were just sort of getting a bit of, you know, you can hear it before, after. Nice and cleaned up. Okay. Just extend this out, but I don't want that. You can see, again, talking about transients, there's a transient. You can see, bang, suddenly we have a hit here. And we don't want that hit stick out. It's just not going to work. Whenever you're talking whilst playing. Okay, I will make sure that maybe I don't talk while I'm playing. We're having weird audio issues today. I apologize, guys. I'm going to have to look into why this is. Something's going wrong. I don't think we've had it before, so... Yeah, we seem to be getting some clipping going on here. Let's just bring that down, make sure that we're not going crazy. Yeah, I think it is an OBS. And let me just very quickly check and make sure I don't have anything weird going on here. No, we shouldn't have anything. I'm just going to do a limiter on here as well. Maybe that's going to just help. There we go. Just in case. We've got a limiter inside of Cubase. Maybe for whatever reason that isn't doing the job, so... Cool. Down a little bit more there. Let's see if we can just fix that up a little bit. It's really just this little section of the transient that we want to bring down. Everything else is going to work. And that's going to be fine. I think it's a bit weird, but that'll work, I think. Okay. Is the Roland Phantom 08 good as MIDI controller? I have no experience with that one. I use our Fade, which is really, really cool. But I don't use that many MIDI controllers. I just use that, really. So I don't know. Do any of you guys have any experience on MIDI controllers? Yeah, nice. And then fade that out. Nice long fade out. Let's take a little listen to what we have here. You're going to make these harps more spacious. Can we add some more movement melody with the solo vocals? We certainly could. If you guys got any ideas on what we should do, do we like it the way they are? Do we want to move them somehow? This is just sounding a little bit too present still. We might need to be more aggressive just to push these back. We got a lot of sort of mids here that we don't need. See all that stuff? We want it to sound further back. So I think that's going to help a bit. I think that's better. Maybe do that makes a little more sense. Maybe we just do something like I'm hearing is this. Maybe we'll do more, but we're losing a little bit there, so let's just keep everything going. And again, we'll have a dip down here, so we can use mod here. Sort of bring the vocals out and then swell it back at the end. So we get more impact at the end. Nice, let me just check these strings on their own. Same thing here. We're going to want to remove some of this sort of flubby stuff going on here, which is easy enough to do. It's going to be around, let me put a simple EQ on here. Again, around that sort of 200 to 300 range. So here. Listen when I take this down, how it just sort of doesn't really lose any energy, but it just takes some of the tonal sort of flubby nature of it. I want it to be quite that. So if I just play this, sort of keep playing it and show you what I've done here. You really sort of notice it. Let me just bring that down a bit. It just smooths it out. And again, it's all context driven. You know, it's not flubby in the sense that it sounds bad. It's beautifully recorded, very authentically recorded. In some cases, you may want a lot of that stuff. In again, generally speaking, the less dense an arrangement, the more you want to hear the sort of pristine element of each piece. But if you have a lot going on, you may need to start doing more aggressive EQ. This piece sounds way more beautiful than the one you made last time. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we've just been doing some cleaning up on it. But again, all Glade, and we've just used some EQ, some compression, a little bit of reverb, but most of the reverb is actually inside of Glade, which is really cool. Nice. Yeah, and then we just let it ring out, I think. We're kind of done with this piece, really. I think we might just do a little bit of mastering. Again, I'm kind of worried about using plugins, but we'll try them and hope that it doesn't make my voice go crazy. So, and when I say mastering, it's going to be pretty gentle. See what we got going on here. I think we need to boost this slightly at this point. And we're just gonna pull these strings back a tiny bit, just so it sounds a bit weird, but we leave a bit of space for the climax too. Seriously meditative, feels like a long walk to freedom. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely become kind of mood piece. It'd be cool if you could at the start add a sort of heartbeat thing. Maybe we could look into doing that. I beta tested for 8 years ago. Would be kick-ass if I could beta test audio Imperia. Well, always send us a message. You know, I can't guarantee that anything would happen, but you know, we're always willing to hear from people, and if there's ever any opportunities, we'll let you know. But yeah, it's always fun beta testing libraries. It was really good, you know, because I sometimes beta test for audio Imperia, and yeah, it's always cool when you get a new library through like Glade and you get to dig in and see what everyone's hard work has created. And yeah, this was definitely one of those libraries that had a lot going on. So I'm just going to we got bass here that I think we could make more of. There we go. I like to use 808 drums for a heartbeat. Let's see if we can create something using Glade. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to, but you know what? We probably will. So let's take this track. Let's take this one layer that we've got here. Let's disengage all the others. When the major chord drops, it'd be really nice if the solo vocals could sing some kind of melodic lift through the chord notes. Let's see if we can make that work. Heartbeat drums. Okay, let's see if we can do something here. So what do we have going on? Let's take a look. We're going to have percussion here somewhere. Yeah, maybe if we use something like the taikos and do a big filter on them somewhere, that's probably going to be our most likely chance here of getting some kind of heartbeat going on. Or maybe the congas, low strings. Yeah, you know what? Let's maybe do it this way. Do we have our atonal percussion patch here? We do. So let's record one of these out. Going back to this sound design thing, let's record one of these out. Okay. Strange start, render in place. This is just Cubase's way of rendering something to audio here. So there it is. We'll bring it up, make sure it's not too loud, but this is pretty much the track that we just created. Nice. Okay, so let's get this sort of right. The heartbeat's going to be quite kind of clipped here. Nice, and we're probably going to want two of them, but let's just do first thing we're probably going to do is use a filter to just get rid of all the top, right? Heartbeat's a big dum dum, right? It's down here in the chest. You don't want any of the top stuff going on here. Right, so that's just a way of getting rid of all the top end, so we just have this kind of thud. Nice, okay. Let's see if we can go in and shape this a little bit more. So there we go, and let's just filter that down. It's pretty much, yeah, that sounds good. There we go. Okay, so maybe let's make this the same. Check our BPM and try and make the heartbeat match the BPM. That kind of sound, right? Let's put this in. Okay. Oh, where'd it go? No, there we go. Oh, wow. Cubase is really not loving me today, is it? Who knows why that's happening? There we go. Let's just do... No, we won't do beat there. There we go. Let's see if we can make this work. Yep, so we're going to want to do... use quantize. There we go. That'll do it. That kind of works, right? We don't need that first fade there, and then a little bit of reverb here, just to sort of glue it together, you know, so it doesn't sound too distinct. We don't want too much. Oh, you know what? I quite like this. This is kind of cool. Oh, no, don't do that. Keep these going. Maybe just stop them here, we'll see. Maybe we'll keep them going. Let's just try it. Maybe this is going to work through the whole piece. Maybe not. But just as this kind of pulse underneath. This is interesting how you can just make stuff work, isn't it? Out of nowhere. Try ideas. Thank you very much for the suggestion, by the way. Kind of liking it. Do we just have these? Do we just have these fade out at the end? That might be cool. I was going to delete them, but maybe we go the other way and maybe we fade these out. Again, these are all just made from Glade. Yeah, I think have them in. It's like a fade to nothing. Cool. Out of nowhere, we suddenly got a kind of rhythmic element to this, and we got this heartbeat made out of the taiko, filtered out. May move them back so the second beat is on the 1. I think. Let's just take a look. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, let's try it. Let's just see what we think. Right, what I'm going to do, I always like to do it this way, is duplicate, and then we can just see what we think works. So what we're talking about here is, might help if I grab everything. Otherwise, I'm just going to be grabbing the one thing. So this is going to change the rhythm, but it could work. It could be really interesting. So that should now be on the 1. Yeah, so we have... Let's go back and have a little listen to this and see what we think. And we can compare and contrast now. So this is when we got the heartbeat back 1. Very different feel now. think we need to filter just a little bit of the top end of these panpipes. Keep them, but just not have them poke it quite so much. See how they lose some of that top end? Not too much. It'll just help them. I like it both ways, but let's keep it that way. If everyone's happy, I think it sounds good. And we've always got an alternative here if we ever wanted to switch back to the other one, mute this one, and mute that one, and we're back to where we were. But yeah, it's a really interesting new texture. I've also boosted this up a little bit. I really like it. That resonance in here is sort of helping, I think. That's free Orchestra. Yes, this is free. You can go download it from the Imperia website. And yeah, everything that we use today is free. Like I said, we've done a little bit of audio manipulation, but it's all just stuff you'd normally do. And yeah, we challenged ourselves to do all this with the free Orchestra. So we haven't gone to any of the other Imperia libraries. Even when we want to do something like this heartbeat, we found a way to do it using Glade. You can nearly always find some way of doing something. We could have gone to a synth or something, but we used a taiko and filtered everything out. And yeah, just created this. So, I like this, but I don't think we need the low end of this stuff. It's the resonance that I really like. Yeah, download now. Definitely grab a copy of it. It's free, and yeah, like I said, I'll make this video available if anybody wants to have a look at it, but by all means, make your own things as well. So we're going to make this. What I think we should do is maybe keep this one going on as well now, because we have these heartbeats. We don't want it to become too thin in the arrangement. So maybe just at this point, dip it down, and they'll just sort of help bridge the gap between the really low heartbeats and the upper end stuff, I think. Yeah, nice. Just sort of smooths everything out, doesn't make it so, because this is such a full arrangement. You know, again, in other types of music, you may be happy with a sparser arrangement with less frequency stuff, but in something like this, we always want the frequencies to be kind of well represented. It doesn't mean you have to have every frequency at every point, but it means like you don't want too much hollowness in this stuff, you know, otherwise it's going to sound a bit thin compared to where it needs to. So yeah, I think that just helped at the end. Without it, you can hear, if I just take it at the end. With just helps to sort of balance everything together. Cool. I think we can almost call this piece kind of done. I'm going to just save. I'm going to try a bit of mastering. If anything goes crazy with the plugins, we get any explosions in sound, let me know. But I'm hoping that it won't happen. I want to say mastering. I don't really mean serious mastering. I just mean we're going to add a little bit. Let me just, what I'm going to do is go back a second. I'm going to just loop a sort of section of it here. And then I can just sort of work with this section. It's not going to be mastering. We're just going to make it a bit louder, a little bit more sort of even, I guess. So, okay. So this is a limiter. It's just going to make sure that we're not peaking. We've already got a limiter on here, you can see, but this is a limiter where we can push the volume a little bit. Really simple one. And then I'm just going to try and use, and hope this doesn't conk anything out. There's a preset on here that we'll like called Hard Basic. which is a good starting point, and then we'll just tweak it according to our track here. This is a multi-band compressor, so multi-band compressors can compress by different frequencies. So it's like a compressor, but it works on different frequencies. You can see you've got 6 here. I'm just using these 4, but you've got 6 that you can use. So you can sort of scoop the mid set a bit or boost the highs or whatever you need to do and bring everything together a little bit more. So just make sure we're not clipping or anything here. Yeah, we kind of want maybe -2 at the most here. We don't want to go too crazy. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of work here. Those mids are really nice, but at certain points when they get too layered, we want to dip them back down again so they don't overwhelm the mix, which is just what I'm doing here using this. Drum saying if we lift the melody of the solo vocals on the major chord drop, a simple run up and down through the chord notes. So maybe let's just try it. So you're thinking something like this? And we don't naturally get up there, but we can make it work again. Very powerful engine here. We should have a range control here, and we can just boost our range a little bit to get to that top note. Let's see what we think. Go back to our mix for a second, make sure it's sounding a little bit squishy on my machine here, but it shouldn't be. Yeah, apologies guys, I don't know. It shouldn't be clipping here, but I don't know whether OBS is doing some kind of weird boosting or something here. I don't know. Let's just let me know if it carries on, but it should stop now. And yeah, there's some low-end energy stuff here as well. Let's just turn these down a tiny bit. Take some of this unnecessary low. There we go. Okay. Let's just do the same thing on the other vocals as well. So we're going to sort of have them both going. Maybe have that one go at the end there. Again, we might have to boost using our range here. Let's just take some of the low end. In fact, we can probably actually just put a very slight, let's go here. Let's just put a bit of a low pass here, not too much. Just cheat a little bit and do this right at the end just to make sure I'm not getting any crazy stuff that we don't need here. try running through the notes quicker. Let's do it. Let's try it. So we're thinking maybe something like... And then... Let's do it on both the melody. Yeah, no, maybe let's go down the octave here because we're pushing that note a bit too high. It's sounding a bit weird. Let's move that there. Let's do it on the flutes as well, one of the flutes here. Maybe this one? No, I think that's the wrong one. Maybe this one. That's a bit high as well, I think. Let's try instead. Duck. Okay, so maybe... Yeah, maybe we do. See if take this an octave down. It might be a bit much. I think this could work. Yeah, I think that'll just help. Nice. Thank you for your suggestion, Video Drum. I think that sounds pretty cool. New subscriber here found you guys via one of the showdown vids. Thank you. Yes, we've been doing the composer showdowns where me and Tom have been choosing a composer and recreating a theme in the style of that composer as best we can, of course. It's been really good fun, though. We've had a lot of fun doing it. So glad you found us on these on those showdowns. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be more of those in the future as well. Okay, cool. I think we're going to call this kind of about done. I mean, we could always tinker around with it more. We have some weird Cubase issues going on, which is making me fearful of using too many plugins. But yeah, I think that what we have here is sounding not too bad. And again, I mean, like I said, a lot of these you could pretty much make an entire cue just using these presets. So I really love the Seasons Change one here. Which is sort of the basis of this piece, really. I'm just playing all this in. You can go on forever like this. Yeah, I mean, I just love that preset. You can write a whole cue using just that preset. Maybe we should have just done a challenge where we just use one preset, but... Okay, let's have a little listen to this thing sort of from beginning to end. It's not entirely there, but it's pretty much there now. I think that we've got a presentable piece of music, all using one library, one free library, Glade. You guys can download it if you haven't, and I know some of you are downloading it now, which is great. And as I said, join up on our Discord and show us what you do with it. But this library is free, and because someone asked earlier, it's not a taster of another library or anything. It's a self-contained thing, all recorded as sort of one cohesive thing, given to you guys at no cost. So yeah, download it, use it. You know, it's there for you guys to enjoy and make music with, and we can't wait to hear what you do with it. I've heard a few things that people have done. It's all been sounding incredible. Okay, let's have a listen through, and we shall wrap up. Cool. Yeah, like a little underscore cue that we've done in maybe 2.5 hours or something with all the conversation we've had as well. Pretty good. One library, free library. Done a nice simple little underscore thing. Yeah, I do. So Adam Harvey Music, I'm on YouTube and I'm also on Instagram. I don't use them all that much. I really should post more on there. But there are a few tracks on there. You can also find me a little bit on, Spotify and stuff like that as well. But there's not that much stuff. I'm really no good at self-promotion. I work much better when I'm part of a team like Audio Imperia because I can just sort of hide behind all the other talented guys. But yeah, I don't post all that much, but maybe I'll try and change that in the near future because I do have stuff that I should put on there. Anyway, we're going to head back to just chatting and wrap up for today. Cool. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. This was essentially part 2 of our creating a track using one free library, which is Glade, which you can download from our Audio Imperia website now. And I think, yeah, what we come up with is quite nice. Oh, and Jan's posted my YouTube channel. Yeah, there's not a huge amount on there, but if you want to go check it out, you're more than welcome. And thank you for asking as well. So yeah, this was Glade. If you guys have any other questions, put them on the Discord, put them in the comments below, and one of us will answer as best we can. And there's also walkthroughs and things. Like I said, to be honest, the best way to learn how to use this library as well, because it's free, is download it and just play around. You'll probably find things that we haven't entirely figured out and used yet. And that's the fun of this library. It has a very deep sound design engine. So there's a lot you can do with that engine. And then it also has some incredible orchestral instruments as well, which are, just very, very beautifully recorded and sampled. Now, obviously the woodwind solo, woodwinds and the voices as well. It's a pretty complete package and it's all available for you guys at no cost. So go and get it. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. We need scoring competition. Yeah, maybe we'll look into doing something like that. And obviously, if you guys ever want to do, like your own version of something that we do on here, whether it's the Composer Showdown or something, go ahead and do it and send us a link to what you do. But maybe we'll try and look into doing some competition at some stage or something. It's, something that would be kind of fun to do. But we've been so busy recently that it's hard to sometimes get the time to do everything. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion. If we can come up with something that's meaningful, Jan's saying, yeah, it's one of those things we'd have to try and make it work. But yeah, it's good to know what you guys want. And it's good that you tell us what you're thinking. And yeah, we take everything on board. So thank you very much for your suggestions. Okay, cool. I think we shall wrap it up there. I should be back next week as always. And if not, we'll keep you updated why, but I don't see any reason why we won't be back doing our usual hangout. And as always, keep an eye on the YouTube channel. There's always content going up. Any questions you have, feel free to ask them in the Discord. I'll try and answer as many as I can. And there'll be other people on there as well who will be able to answer questions and help you guys with whether it's music feedback or ideas or composition questions. We're all hanging out on there. So come and join us. Okay, I think that's everything for this week. One final plug just to say, go download Glade. It's free. We're really excited to see how you guys use it. And yeah, all the incredible music you make with it. So go grab it today. This was all made using Glade, and I'm sure you can come up with even better stuff when you get stuck into the library and see what you can do with it. I should be back next Tuesday. And until then, happy composing.